Hello, hello, and welcome to our webinar on Fishbowl and Shippo, how brands can build more resilient shipping and inventory ops. We'll get started in just a few minutes. Thanks so much for being with us today. For those of you who are just joining in, thanks so much for being with us today for our webinar. We'll get started in just a few minutes. For those who are just joining, welcome, and we'll get started in just a minute. All right, thanks so much for being with us. Again, welcome to Fishbowl and Shippo's joint webinar, Finding Clarity Among the Chaos. So we're excited for our conversation today on how brands can build more resilient shipping and inventory operations. By way of introduction, my name is Kendrick Hare. I'm the Chief Evangelist, and joining me is our friend Tim Thorne. If you want to introduce yourself real quick.
Hi, everybody. I'm Tim Thorne. I'm the head of sales and business development at Shippo, and really excited to be with you today.
Fantastic. Thanks, Tim. Just a couple of quick housekeeping items. The first is that you'll get a copy of this webinar replay and follow-up notes on Monday afternoon. So keep your eyes open in your inbox on Monday afternoon. Don't feel like you have to frantically record everything that you see or think here because it'll all come back around, and we're happy to continue the conversation. The second item is that we will have poll participation available. There will be 3 polls that come up throughout the course of our time together, and we invite you, encourage you to respond into those for engagement, and so we have some better visibility. The responses to those will be shared out as part of our webinar as well. So thanks for your willingness to participate on that. And last but not least, feel free to drop questions into the chat throughout. We do have several moderators that are standing by to answer any questions you might have about Fishbowl and or Shippo or anything else that you may want to talk about. And then we'll also have a Q&A session at the end of our webinar today. So if there are questions that you'd like more dialogue on, I know that that's available, but don't hold your questions. Feel free to drop those in as needed. Last but not least, if you need closed captioning or any other functions, that's available in your Zoom bar. Feel free to jump in the More section and enable those annotations. So with that, I'm going to jump now into our agenda. And we have some exciting things. So we'll start off with a little bit about unlocking inventory management and flexibility there. From that point, Tim's going to jump involved with gaining shipping efficiencies. We'll have a wrap-up discussion and then that Q&A, as I mentioned. So some exciting things on that front as we talk first about disruptions. So, Tim, over to you.
Yeah, sure thing. It wouldn't be a webinar this time of year without talking about tariffs, right? It seems to be the hot button topic everywhere right now. They're all over the headlines. You know, there's tariffs on Chinese goods up to 145% right now. This is a substantial disruption to supply chains. And while today we're not going to focus so much on tariffs, I know Fishbowl has a webinar actually coming up soon on tariffs, so something that folks can tune into here really soon. But we are going to talk about a larger issue, which is disruptions like tariffs are becoming the norm in global supply chain and fulfillment operations. And these disruptions vary in size and impact. It could be anything from geopolitical events, labor disruptions and negotiations, mergers, acquisitions, supplier issues, and even extreme weather, right? These have a massive impact on our supply chains. And over the past few years have been a huge impact. We can jump to the next slide. Using a partner of ours called Resilience, we pulled this data and it shows the number of these supply chain disruptions are massively increasing year to year. You can see a major change in that growth rate, over 24.6% from 2021 to 2024 in the number of disruptions that directly impact supply chains. That's a steep curve. Operational teams have to be ready for that. It's like we're constantly playing defense, right, Kendrick? It's like every day something new, something else that these teams, our teams have to deal with. And so part of that and what we want to talk about today is how we help the best performing teams really visualize how they can improve their supply chains and build flexibility in their systems so they can adapt to these disruptions in real time. And so today, Kendrick, I think you and I want to go through really two core topics, right? And the first one is how to build a really stable inventory management solution. And then I will talk through obviously what you do on the shipping side to overcome or at least build stability as these continued disruptions come.
Yeah, there's a lot of uncertainty. We're seeing that in all places, and there are large disruptions like this as well as small disruptions. I had a chance to visit a client who recently had to change their entire operational structure due to some of those tariffs, as Tim already talked about. They are in a position where they manufacture goods, and they've been doing that overseas. As a result of economic conditions, they're bringing that back domestic, and that's a huge shift for them.
Right.
Another customer I spoke with, wasn't even impacted by world or life events. It was something that was really myopic to their own business and the way that they process goods and their staff being affected by some things that caused a disruption. So whether it's external or internal forces, these disruptions really are a big part of operational impact and how we create efficiency to those, I think goes a long way.
Absolutely.
I think that leads us into our first poll question. So we'll get that launched and would love your participation. So which disruption is your biggest concern? We know there are a lot of things happening out there. And we'd love to get your feedback on whether that's tariffs, regulatory changes, carrier service level changes, carrier disruptions and delays, rising shipping and logistics cost, or inventory shortages and supply chain disruptions. Where are you finding the biggest pain points right now? We'll give that just a little bit for responses to come in. Thank you. All right, appreciate your help there. If we can make the magic Zoom work, we'll go ahead and get the results up real quick. Perfect. So it looks like, as anticipated, tariffs are on a lot of folks' minds with 35%. Not much on the carrier service level changes, but disruptions on carriers, rising shipping costs seem to be thematic, and then the inventory shortages piece. So yeah, some big things that can cause major distraction and disruption within your environment. Let's talk a little bit about those. So we'll jump from this into the first portion of our presentation today around providing visibility and workflow flexibility. So if you're already using Fishbowl in your operations, that's great. There's a probability that we can help make that a little better for you. If you're not yet using Fishbowl, some things that would be good to consider as you think about how to be able to create resilience and overcome those disruptions that inevitably are coming. The forecast that Tim shared is that we're on track for even more than we've had historically. Seems like the next shoe is just ready to drop. We want to create tools that help you be more prepared to deal with that. And what we've seen over the years is that the highest performing and the best teams are able to do a couple of things. The first is they can provide and prioritize visibility across their operations. So better operators are always able to act more efficiently when they have better visibility. And that's one of the first things that Fishbowl's focused in on doing is creating visibility, some great tools that help on that front. The second is having flexibility and the capacity to adapt in real time, whether it's the tariffs or some other disruption that's happening, carrier level impacts or supply chain disruptions or whatever the thing may be. When you're in a position that you can have some flexibility in who and where and how you're sourcing and the way that you fulfill orders and all of those ancillary pieces, that really helps build high performance regardless of the circumstances. So those are some great tools to lean in on. The first thing to talk about is having a comprehensive inventory management system and managing your sales and purchasing workflow. So there's a mouthful there, but the reality is for product-based businesses, your inventory control, your sales, and your purchasing are all joined at the hip. You want to make sure that you have the right items at the right time so you can fulfill customer demand, manufacturing where applicable, et cetera. And the worst thing that you can do is miss out on a sales opportunity because you don't have the materials or the stock needed in order to meet customer demand. The second worst thing you can do is have too much of that sitting on the shelf, tying up cash flow. And I bet if you're a bit like a lot of our customers, the working capital is paramount. You don't want to have inventory sitting on the shelf and not turning well, because that means it's limiting you in sales and marketing efforts. It's limiting you in being able to go out and produce more. It's limiting you in so many other areas when that inventory is really just sitting dormant. So we want to create tools and systems that provide that visibility so you know what to buy, when to buy it, how much to get in. And there's so many elements that go into that. We can't possibly cover all in this short time together, but definitely having a full end-to-end flow of your inventory management, your sales, and your purchasing is a paramount first step and a foundational element to having better visibility and flexibility. The second would be manufacturing capability. So if you're in a position that you do manufacture, having the tools to help support that process from bill of materials management and the things that you need for both your manufacturing and your work orders. That may involve multi-stage and custom workflows. So if you're doing things with work in process, if you're tracking details that are relevant, like serial numbers and lot codes and expiry dates and things of that nature for compliance and traceability reasons, not only for inventory management, but also through your manufacturing process, it's imperative that you're capturing that type of detail. And then last but not least, as we think through the manufacturing process, having good visibility into the cost for tracking not only your materials, but also labor and overhead, which are important parts of ensuring that you have proper margins there. That really leads into the third point, which is accounting in general. So not just for manufacturing, but back to your inventory management, your sales, and your purchasing, having a good connection therein for accounting. Fishbowl supports both QuickBooks and Xero accounting. We tend to see more folks on QuickBooks, both desktop and online. Generally speaking, though, whatever your accounting system may be, it's important that you have a seamless integration to sync with, so you're eliminating any double entry or efforts there to move financial data back and forth. And of course, a big part of that is maintaining that visibility that I referenced earlier. You've got to have audit-ready, accurate inventory valuation, cost of goods sold, labor and expense accounts, shipping expense, everything that you're dealing with needs to ultimately be reflected in your balance sheet and your P&L. And Fishbowl and Shippo together provide some great tools to help with that integration, as well as making sure that you've got the right content, your costs and information documented as it needs to. From an overall standpoint, while inventory and sales and your accounting integration are foundational pieces, there's so many other variables that we're seeing companies adopt. And one of the primary areas of expansion in the last several years as these disruptions have happened. And really, I think we saw a significant uptick in this arena when COVID hit, and that would be online sales. So omni-channel and e-commerce integration, folks who are traditionally wholesale distribution or even manufacturers hung up a shingle and started selling on platforms and e-commerce channels like Amazon and eBay and Shopify and BigCommerce, and that list goes on and on and on. Fishbowl is uniquely set to manage those connections in an omni-channel environment. So when it sells in one spot, it comes off of all the others, unifying your order and your inventory data across all of those sales channels, so you're staying up to date and have real-time information. It also simplifies that pick, pack, and ship process. And Tim will talk much more about the shipping element and the importance there on fulfillment here in just a minute. But knowing that from beginning to end, Fishbowl is able to handle that whole process. And so if you're not taking advantage of some of those integrations and connections, definitely let's connect post-webinar and explore how we might be able to provide better capabilities there in streamlining your operations and creating more efficiencies. The last note is really just an overarching goal to help with visibility. And again, that creates better operators when you have better understanding and information. Fishbowl has some amazing AI-driven tools that help with providing visibility into what's needed and where you're at, whether that's from a sales and purchasing standpoint, from an inventory management standpoint, or even marketing efforts and shipping solutions, as we'll dive deep into in just a moment. One quick anecdotal observation here that's been fun to see is a joint customer of both Fishbowl and Shippo, a group called Basin Upfitting, who have been using both platforms for a little while now and greatly improved their output and their visibility and their overall business growth. They've gone from about double the growth in just a short amount of time, all as a result of being able to be better operators and having flexibility. So they are a customer who manufacture commercial vehicle build-outs, so service vans and trucks and different things of that large equipment and long lead time items. It's important for them to know when they need to get materials in for the different jobs that they're doing, and they've been able to leverage Fishbowl to help out on bringing those materials in at just the right time. It's helped their scheduling, their throughput with the same number of resources has significantly increased. And then they have a whole parts business as well. And so as they're shipping materials and parts out for these builds and otherwise, being able to leverage Shippo to help with that label creation and shop carriers and all the different things. And they're dealing with sometimes a very small box and sometimes a very big box. And there's a lot of flexibility and carrier flexibility there was paramount for them to be able to manage those good margins. So lots of exciting things to hit on here. I'll maybe just wrap it up real fast with if any of these areas are something that you're intrigued in learning more about, let's definitely connect and talk about what we might be able to do to help create some of that visibility and flexibility that helps you weather the storms that inevitably come from day to day. So with that, flip it over to you, Tim.
Yeah. Thanks, Kendrick. That's super good. Appreciate that. Let's talk about shipping. Shipping's not immune to disruptions and challenges, and there's many in our space right now. And in our poll question, I saw that one of the top responses was people were concerned about rising carrier rates, and that's not surprising. Right now, we show that FedEx and UPS have raised their ground rates by about 14.5% over the last 3 years. USPS has raised their rates by about 9.4% in the same amount of time. You had changes with USPS Parcel Select earlier this year that caused UPS to raise their SurePost rates by about 9% in January. Outside of just rate changes, you have a lot of industry things going on. You had a Canada Post strike that hit right during shipping season. If you're shipping from Canada, that massively impacted you. We might have a new Postmaster General soon at USPS who might come from the outside, which is very interesting. smart shippers are building resilience into their shipping operation to battle these type of disruptions. And today I really want to focus on five that we see are five opportunities that shippers have to help kind of push through these disruptions. The first one is building dynamic carrier routing and diversification using multi-carrier shipping APIs, or using our nice integration with Fishbowl and Shippo. Um, Folks are able to provide stable, scalable, and fast carrier integration. So when these things happen, you can add the carriers or additional carriers you would need to overcome that disruption without a lot of work on your side because you have a scalable API that can help you there. In addition, um, adding rate shopping capabilities in real time with your negotiated rates by customer promise and the fastest service at the lowest cost in your warehouse. Um, this is a massive opportunity, and it allows you as a seller to take advantage of where you have density and where you can help fulfill your customer promise, but also take advantage of programs with services and carriers that might get it there as fast as other carriers and services. The next one in building these dynamic carrier routing is to automatically be able to switch carriers based on service availability, or when there's delays or pricing, or when a carrier comes and picks up every day, being able to quickly switch to another carrier. Um, this is an important way that our customers find a way that they can easily use and scale their carrier integrations on their platform. The second one in adding resilience is to be proactive about address validation and delivery optimization. Adding address verification at checkout and in a warehouse massively cuts down on failed deliveries. And as many shippers know in our space, address correction fees are really high. I think I saw that they're $23 plus in 2025. This can be a quick way to sink an e-commerce business. It's really important to have a scalable solution that allows you to verify addresses at checkout and again in a warehouse. That way you cut down on fees and you cut down on redeliveries, right? Using a Shippo or other solutions like that is going to help you massively cut down on the fees that come from using incorrect addresses in a warehouse. The third one is shipping options at checkout. We have this great example that came up internally at Shippo. We had one of our employees that bought something from Banana Republic, and Banana Republic allowed you to essentially delay your shipment. You could say, "Hey, I'm okay with this showing up a little bit later." I think it's oftentimes that come up with our sellers where they hear it's all about speed. I got to get it there in 2 days to compete with the big guys. I don't know if that's necessarily the case. Providing an excellent delivery experience, in my view, typically is about options. It's about giving your customers at checkout the ability to choose, hey, I'm going to be out of town for a week, but I still want this thing to be delivered in a week. I think it's exploring as an operator at an e-commerce company, allowing your buyers to choose more ways to have things delivered to them. And the net benefit for you is adding those things in a lot of situations can help you cut down on costs because you can use, services with carriers that might be a delayed delivery, and still have very good tracking and visibility, but would help you drive down what your cost would be. Plus, there's other options like pickup drop-off locations, delayed delivery, and they're going to help you drive cart conversion and continue to drive down cost at checkout and cost in your shipping. The fourth is building shipping efficiency in your warehouse. Many of you know this, but carriers charge by the dimensions of your box. This is really important. And you've got to make sure that you're not putting, a tube of chapstick in a box that's built for a kayak. That's a quick way to lose a lot of money as an e-commerce company and sink your business. Building in, quality control in your warehouse to ensure that you're packing correctly, that you limit the boxes that you offer, is a huge savings to your company and business. You can investigate using poly bags if you're a clothing company or a fashion company, where you don't need a box, and there's substantial discounts when you use a poly bag. That's a place that you can find a savings.
Yeah, it's funny you bring that up. I just yesterday pulled a box in off the porch. I bought it some new handlebars for my bicycle,
Nice.
and the box that came was like 48 inches tall and 30 inches wide and 12 inches deep for a set of handlebars that could have fit in a third of that space. So
That's right. And that was a super expensive shipment, right? And they basically killed their per piece economics shipping that to you, right? They probably lost money. I mean, that's the honest truth. And I think it's an important thing that e-commerce companies need to really spend some time on is understanding like I think where it comes from, Kendra, because I think e-commerce companies are so focused on I got to get this package out the door, which isn't wrong. But in that process, there's places where you're killing your margins, right? And this is a huge opportunity, I think, for our customers at Shippo and for those at Fishbowl that primarily are e-commerce shippers, is to really monitor and look at how you're fulfilling your parcels. And that's going to find you a net benefit over time.
yeah. We tend to find a lot of times too, it's just one half is they're trying to just fulfill that order, which is important. The other half is the staff aren't always thinking about it the same way that an owner or a manager
Right.
would. It's just the easiest, quickest thing. So tools like automating what box size should be relative to a certain set of products just help with that whole process and kind of spelling out what needs to be done.
Yeah, absolutely. And then kind of pairing with that is the pick and pack process, right? Ensuring what goes in the box is what's supposed to go in the box, right? Using best practices with a pick sheet and ensuring that you're scanning what goes into the order before it goes in the box. Reshipments are expensive. If you miss that, have to resend something. They've got to send it back to you. You've now essentially tripled your shipping cost on one order. And then finally, is knowing your shipping business. It's amazing the number of e-commerce companies or shippers that we meet with where they don't audit their carrier bills. They don't actually review them. They just say, okay, accounting or finance, go ahead and take care of this, and no one's really looking at it. Your bill tells the story of your shipping business. It's going to show where you heavy with surcharges. Obviously what discounts are applied or not applied. It's important that you get a grasp of what's happening in your shipping business. And the first place you do that is by auditing or reviewing your carrier bills. Um, it's also going to give you visibility into things like are you sending to a incorrect address? Is that something that you can change in your warehouse to help save on costs with the carriers? It also helps you negotiate with a bit of a position of strength when you go to get new contracts with the carriers, is to understand where your density is and understand your shipping business. Do you have a lot of lightweight parcels? Do you have a lot of lightweight parcels that go to the coasts? Are you middle of the country? Even just basic analysis like that is super helpful when you sit down at the table and negotiate with the UPS or FedEx or USPS. That's going to help you, take advantage of the best discounts, and negotiate on some level from a position of strength. And ultimately, you know, that's what we're trying to do here when it comes to shipping is give the best experience, and the carriers are world class, especially in the United States in terms of delivery. But you've got to find a way to get the best rate and drive down that cost, especially as these disruptions keep popping up and are not going to stop. These, I think, are some ways that a shipping operator can continue to add resilience and scale and grow their shipping operation.
Some great call outs, Tim. I think it leads us into our second poll question, which is around the friction that you may be experiencing. We'd love to know, as you think through what Fishbowl's addressing, what Shippo's addressing, and the crossover between your operations and the friction points that you'd love to solve for. Well, we're filling that out. I will note, because this one's free form, would love to get your input. We're excited to see how it works out on the poll response. Might just be a long list. So should that be the case, if there's not a lot of crossover there, know that we'll condense that thematically, arrange it, and then get it shared out as part of our Monday follow-up next week. All right, thanks so much for your responses on that. Let's go ahead and see if we can share anything, how this one works out.
like the essay question you used to take back in college, right?
That's
But
it.
those ones I had to reply to were 200, words or less for sure. That would have been a lot better.
We might be having some technical difficulties getting that one out, so we'll share that one post webinar. Apologies for that. Um, Jumping now into our Q&A section, though, we're excited for any questions that may have come. Looks like we have a handful of those that have come through in the chat already as we've been discussing. Ryan and Mike, any notables that would be helpful to share across the group?
Yeah, I think Kendrick, a couple questions about cartonization features, both kind of within Fishbowl and then how that works. So if I'm a business that I know like carton templates and I know, what my product weights are, do I have to like key that in every shipment, or is there ways to automate that? Maybe you could talk to that, Kendrick.
Yeah, great question. The short answer to that is there are several methods and models that we can use. So a deeper conversation is probably in order. If you're using Fishbowl already, reach out to your account manager. If not, we can get a demo set up and scheduled. But two features I'll call out real quick that both kind of help with that. The first is on the product level, if you have items that are in a set box size and a set quantity. A great example of that is we've got a customer who sells sleeping bags, and they come in a case of 3, and then they sell tents, and they come in a case of 4. So they know by the product how many fit in a box, and they're in that case actually packaged already in some instances, and others they'll put them into larger boxes. So at the product level, you can define on a per product basis the quantity per package, and then it will auto split relative to that once it gets into shipping. Another version of that and a variation is if you have set box sizes that you typically tend to use, but if you bring 3 items together that are all small, you go the small size. If you bring 3 items together that are small, medium, and large, you may go with a medium box, etc. You can predefine and wire up the different packages that you commonly use, and then they can be set as a predefined list, and you can quickly and easily, as part of the carton creation process during the shipping step in Fishbowl, select which box or boxes you're going to use. So even if it is a bit dynamic, putting that step in there of defining the carton types, so I can say this is a 12 by 12 by 24 box, or this is a 10 by 10 by 12 box, or whatever it may be. That saves some steps in entering those dimensions. Because it's subjective to the components going into it, we'd still want to put a weight in. So having a scale and weigh it, and then recording that as part of the process would be a follow-up step. If you know all of those things, like the first scenario, including the weight, we can automate that process all the way through. So the picker, the packer, they see it, and then that is transferred over to Shippo when you're rate shopping and generating the labels as well.
Awesome. Thank you. Hey, Tim. And then I want to just fact check myself on a question that I just typed through. So in our integration, if I'm shipping internationally, right, I can pass through all of the shipping information. I can pass through everything I need to generate a commercial invoice. But the what we receive back, my memory tells me we get a label, and then we get a commercial invoice that are like papers that I need to print out and include on the box, right? The question was, is there a way to do that in more of like a paperless fashion? So I don't know if I hoping I answered the question right, but I wanted to fact check myself there.
Yeah, I'm not the expert here, but I think it's dependent typically on the carrier. There are certain carriers where it can be paperless. There's other ones that still require that those are all printed and included with the shipment.
Okay, awesome. So carrier by carrier, maybe check with the Fishbowl and Shippo teams on how we can automate that a little bit better.
And we're more than happy to help there. Absolutely.
Awesome. There's one that just came in live. It says, how do you recommend deciding what data or metrics to track? We struggle with picking metrics that end up not being very useful, or not picking metrics because they're difficult to track. I like the idea of reviewing shipping carrier bills or any other great starting places. That was from Liz. So great question there. I don't know, Kendrick and Tim, if you have any thoughts on that one.
I can address the reviewing the shipping carrier bills.
Yeah.
I mean, that's obviously a great place to start. I mean, the first one is ensuring that you're receiving those and actually looking at them. You know, a lot of folks don't even start by looking them and understanding them. Um, there are a number of great resources and tools that can help you understand those bills. Shippo obviously can help you do that. We don't do carrier auditing right now, but we have a number of really great partners that we could refer you to that absolutely can help you with carrier auditing. And if you want to get really in depth and can help you find places that you could potentially save or places where maybe that you're missing some things in your fulfillment operation. But we absolutely can make some recommendations there.
Over on the fishbowl side of that question, Liz, the first thing that comes to mind, and perhaps it's the way that the question was phrased, but picking metrics. There's a pick efficiency report that I think immediately hit my mind just in being able to see from that pick, pack, ship process how effective folks are being as you are fulfilling orders, sales order summary report, and a handful of others. I might suggest a conversation with your account manager to really dive into the metrics that you want to see based on the outcomes that you guys are hoping to achieve. If there's concerns around missed ships or overages or some of the other things that Tim alluded to earlier, we might talk about ways in Fishbowl that we can mitigate and eliminate those types of problems. If it's more sales related, there may be some other reports and tools we can provide that help provide the data, and then you guys can make better decisions around the outcomes that you'd like to see.
Yeah, maybe I'll add there, Kendrick, with the AI insights, right? So the ability for Fishbowl customers to have KPIs that have data-driven dashboard widgets that you can put out on your production floor, to track those metrics. That all exists now, and those tools are available. So, really the business needs to kind of look at what is important to track, and then, with some conversations with the Fishbowl and Shippo teams, we can help, get that directional and provide you the tools to level up the efficiency of your business. Tim, another question coming. I think this is a pretty simple one, but just question about LTL shipping.
Yeah, we talked about this coming up and it did come up. How about that? We don't have plans now to add LTL at Shippo, but it's something that we're exploring in a future state. It does come up. We do get asked about it. I think just LTL, the business itself is so very different from our e-commerce infrastructure and shipping infrastructure that it's something that we're exploring, but there's nothing in the imminent future for us to add that.
Thank you.
Thanks, Tim. I realize we've got one more poll question. So while we're going through, it looks like there are a number of other questions coming in, but while we're sorting through those, final poll question for the day is which area is your top priority for building resilience over the next year? Would love to hear from you what area, whether that's improving your inventory visibility, strengthening your shipping, building stronger carrier relationships, or increasing automation. I think that automation, as Ryan pointed out, can include AI tools that can really help efficiency across the board. I'll give that one just a moment as well.
Kendrick, one thing we haven't really hit on yet, just basic functionality of Fishbowl with the Shippo integration is, do I have to leave Fishbowl to do my shipping if I want to just generate labels in Fishbowl for efficiency? Is that an option?
Yeah, great question. So the answer to that, whether I have to leave, what does the user experience look like? It's all natively capable right through Fishbowl. So everything that Shippo provides in terms of rate shopping and choosing carriers and then generating the labels, is going to be part of the Fishbowl experience. So, if you're worried about adoption and bringing this into your workforce and causing disruption, no one likes disruption, but I think the shipping department likes it the least. They may be followed closely by the accounting team, but shipping, they tend to hate two things: change in the way things are. But we want to make sure that it's an easy experience for them. And so that's all natively part of the Fishbowl Shippo partnership, is one interface to help control that. We've got the results on our poll as well. So it looks like some great areas to focus in on. The first, improving inventory visibility, followed by our last option, increasing automation across operations, and then strengthening shipping operations and building stronger carrier relationships rounds out by order. Relative to that, on the screen, you should see a couple of QR codes. On the left is the option to contact a Shippo expert if you have questions around shipping and the great content that Tim shared with us today. Feel free to hit that QR code and set up a call. If it's over on the Fishbowl side, more information that's needed around improving inventory operations, efficiency, AI reporting, and any of those things on the operational front, feel free to scan in here as well. Again, for those who are already Fishbowl customers, we'll get you connected into your account manager and a trainer that can help assist with that. If you're considering Fishbowl as an option, we're happy to provide a demo on how not only Fishbowl, but Shippo works with that to provide the visibility needed and overall operational workflow that really help in being able to weather those storms that inevitably are going to come. So we appreciate your willingness to spend time with us today. Hope that you found value in really finding real world strategies that drive efficiency and can help you in your business with whatever uncertainty may come, as you're able to have more visibility, as you're able to have more resilience and become more flexible with whatever the scenario might be, through better tools and better information. With that, we'll call it a wrap. Any parting words from your side, Tim?
No, nothing from my side. Just, we're here to help. Any shipping questions you have, whether Shippo does it or not, we're here for you. We want to be your experts in the space, and we're here to help you. So anything you need, please let us know.
Perfect. Thanks so much, Tim. And thanks everyone for being with us today. With that, we'll let you get back to your time and have a happy trails.
Thank you.